Hey, welcome back. It is Eric Arnold here in the Sports Barn on this Thursday, October 14th. And we've got the weekend's college football picks for you. And we've got a bunch of them. I mean, I had to count them all up. 23 different games we're going with here over the weekend. Well, the model just looks like it has a pretty clean look at all these games. And well, we'll go with it and see what happens. We had a bad weekend last weekend, slightly below 500. Just, I felt it too coming into the weekend. I just thought, I got no confidence in these games. It just doesn't feel good. I feel a little better this weekend, if for no other reason. We're due for a good weekend. So, we got just a ton of games. We'll get to them in a minute. We got to make some comments here. We have been censored. YouTube has censored me now. I had a video taken down on Monday by YouTube for allegedly violating their standards. It did not, of course. When they censor your video, apparently, not apparently, the process is, there are no humans involved. It's simply, you get a automated message, says, we think you violated our standards. Hell, they can't even bring themselves to be definitive in that. They can't even say you violated our standards. They just say, we think you violated our standards. There's no one to talk to. If you want to file any kind of appeal, they have this little box there, where they allow you 800 characters to explain yourself. And they don't even tell you what you did that violated the standards. In my case, it was some nebulous medical misinformation, and then they point you to a page where there's like 100 things that they don't allow, and you got to try to figure out what you said to violate one of them 100 things. So I typed in my 800 characters. They came back in less than 12 hours, said denied. And again, no humans were involved in any of this. The email you get is from a no-reply email box. It's like, well, I like to say, talk to somebody or at least have a conversation. Nah. They don't do any of that. So I guess that puts me in good company. Other people that have been suspended by big tech. You have Senator Rand Paul was censored by YouTube. A man that represents millions of people, an elected representative of the government, YouTube suspends him and denies him free speech. Is that? I don't even know what to say about that. Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, same deal. Man represents millions of people. Censored by YouTube. YouTube's making my point for me. They are making my point for me. I don't know if I should thank them or not. That's one of the reasons why we make these political videos right at the top. There's Lieutenant Bobulinski. That's why we started making these videos, is because his story implicating the now President of the United States in corruption was roundly ignored by all media outlets, by YouTube, etc., etc., etc. And that's when I started making videos, because this is absolutely un-American and it's wrong. The type of people that resort to censorship? Totalitarian governments. That's who resorts to censorship. People that are champions of freedom, liberty, traditional American values, we don't use censorship. We allow the other side to have their say. That's what free speech is all about. It's not protecting my speech. It's protecting your opponent's speech. That's what it's for. People that would traditionally not be a fan of free speech, are your dictators of history. So I don't know how YouTube feels comfortable, but, they probably don't worry themselves about such nuances. All they know is they want to win the argument. And one way you can win the argument is if the other guy doesn't get to talk. If it's a one-sided argument, then I win by default, right? So, you know, I'll talk more about this in a future Politics Barn video. I guess I have to be careful now about what I say, or YouTube will just take the whole channel down. But be it known, all you moderate Democrat sports fans out there, I have been censored now. It has happened. YouTube has yanked down, I guess, you know, and you're saying, well, what did you say? What did you say? Nothing really. I haven't said before. I'm against vaccine mandates. I think we need to do everything we can possibly do to somehow stop these vaccine mandates. These strikes that are going on, the airline strikes, I heard that Americans now getting in on the act, maybe possibly in the midweek. Southwest early in the week. We got to support any kind of strike there is. This is all good stuff. Good stuff, these strikes, to stop these vaccination mandates. So, I don't know. I mean, you know, again, they don't specifically point you to what they found offensive. It's just, you know, that's another hallmark of totalitarianism, is arbitrariness, where they just pick out somebody out of the line and say, you, today, you are going down today. And you go, what? What did I do? And they don't tell you. They just beat the shit out of you and throw you in a hole. And, you know, you say, everyone else is like, wow, what did that guy do? But no one, there's no explanation. No one ever brings charges. There's no court process. As I wrote back to YouTube, I was like, this 800 character thing is laughable. The Nazis gave you more due process than this. So that's totalitarianism. So, you know, coming, if not here already, coming to a local government near you very shortly. All right, let's get to these 23 picks. Like I said, you want to hear, oh, I almost forgot. Almost forgot. You want to see the video that got me censored? You want to see it? You got to go to rumble.com, and our handle over there is Politics Barn, all one word. Politics Barn, all one word. Politics Barn at rumble.com. I'm sure if I put a link to it, YouTube would censor me yet again. So I'm not going to do that because I fear to get, you know, I at some point we're going to move everything over to a free vendor that will treat me with some kind of respect. But at the moment, I'm not in a position to just shut everything off and just move over to, you know, that's the problem. We've allowed the YouTube to become a monopoly, essentially. And they've crushed all competition. And these other channels have such a limited reach, but then that's what YouTube wants, of course, because you win the argument when there's nobody else speaking. So, Politics Barn at rumble.com. All right. Sports. All right, 23 games. Here we go. So it starts tonight. You know, and subscriber F asked me about this baseball game here tonight. You got a massive baseball game tonight, Game 5. Winner advances to face the Atlanta Braves. Two teams with over 105 wins, the Giants and Dodgers. I couldn't come up with heads or tails. I mean, my gut tells me the Giants is where the value is. They're a slight favorite tonight. The Giants are. I frankly would feel better if they were an underdog. You know, if you were getting more value with the Giants being an underdog. But, you know, I don't know. There's a, you know, it's a coin flip. I don't think there's great value either way in this game, so I don't really have a pick. College football. How fast can we run through 23 picks? We got two games tonight. And again, let's say this at the top of the college football here. The model likes momentum and it likes running the ball. Who can run the ball? Who can stop the run? Who can control the line of scrimmage? That's what the model looks at. And, it believes there's a historical bias towards those kind of teams. Those kind of teams generally, 54, 55%. Cover the spread. That's what we're looking for. So we're hoping that that's something that's not a transient, a Biden word, is in transient inflation. In other words, well, it's only here for 3 months and then it's going to go away. Of course, inflation is not transient because of the policies the idiot Biden administration is pursuing. It's going to be here as long as he's there. But we're hoping these trends are carry on throughout history due to the nature of the rules of football. That's what we're hoping for, and we think it's true. So, Georgia Southern, we're taking them over South Alabama. Georgia Southern generally seems to play pretty well against this team, South Alabama. Georgia Southern runs the ball. We like that. Navy, same deal. They generally play pretty well against Memphis. Memphis is... they've been taking some beats here. They've seemingly played some pretty tough opponents, and now, here they are, a pretty good favorite over Navy. Well, Navy generally plays pretty well against Memphis. We'll take Navy. Friday night, we got 2 games on Friday night. We're going to go ahead with Clemson here. They have not played well all year. And this seems like a huge number to be laying with a not played that well team. I don't know. We're just kind of hunching this one up and saying Clemson's due to get well. Are they? LSU had the great. What I would say is the greatest team I've ever seen was in 2019, the Joe Burrow LSU Tigers, and now LSU's just fallen off the map. It's like, wait a minute, you're not elite. That was just a one-time deal. Clemson's been pretty good for pretty long. And now suddenly it's like, is that same thing happening to Clemson, that they're just falling off the map and now suddenly they're just going to be another team again? I don't know. We're gonna back Dabo here and say somehow this guy's going to get his shit together, that he's got enough 5-star talent on that team that he's going to coach up. And these guys are now going to take care of business, start blowing people out just like he has for the last 10 years. That they're due to get well. So we're going to say they're going to get well in the Carrier Dome and wax Syracuse. That's the hunch. San Diego State, they just keep crunching up people, running people over. So we're going to say they're going to do it here against San Jose. Let's see what we got. All right, on to Saturday. Well, Texas, I guess the play here is we like Gundy, Mike Gundy, Oklahoma State. Think he's a very underrated coach. I think the Oklahoma State team is looking towards this game a lot more than Texas would be. Texas just played their big game last week, and they blew it. Which is not unusual. Texas usually loses to Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry. But Texas had that game and, did Texas-like things and pissed it away. So maybe they're down a little bit now. And Oklahoma State, they're catching points. They want to stick it to Texas for no other reason that, they're hurting the University of Oklahoma State, and not just by, in other words, oh, you're going to beat us on the scoreboard, we don't like you. They're costing the Oklahoma State Cowboys a lot of money by going to the SEC. And I'm sure everybody wearing that orange of the Oklahoma State would love to beat the living shit out of the Texas Longhorns. So we're hoping that translates to some mad, angry, good play on the field with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So we're going to take them. A&M coming off a huge win over Alabama. Sure, why not? We'll go ahead here and say that they've righted their ship. That they're not just going to revert back into a pumpkin after beating what I guess you could argue is one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team. Missouri has done not a whole lot. They were not good at all that game against Tennessee a couple weeks ago. They gave up 60 points. So I think we're just going to have to say A&M here. This one, Michigan State, it's like, what? These guys, what happened here? I don't know. I think this is Exhibit A of last year didn't count. You know, the pandemic year just didn't count. It didn't matter. Whatever happened last year just did not count. Michigan State had a bad year last year. It looked like, oh my God, they're bad. And now all of a sudden they're back to whoever they used to be. They're just grinding people up into little bitty pieces. They haven't, honestly, they haven't played anybody yet. This is probably their toughest game to date at Indiana. Indiana's had a bad start. Indiana's got a backup quarterback very likely in this game. Why not? We'll just say Michigan State just keeps going. They just keep on going until, you know, they reach Michigan or Ohio State or Penn State. That's where they'll hit the wall. But we're going to say they're going to get over the Indiana hurdle before they hit that wall. Auburn, Arkansas, would take Auburn. They're getting some points there. I think these teams are basically even, but Auburn's catching points. Plus, Arkansas has had a couple now really tough losses, 2 in a row, losing basically on well, they had a chance to win there. I guess they, drove down, got the tie to send it in overtime, went for 2 and didn't make it. So they lost the game there on the last play of the game. I think that's going to deflate them a little bit. Florida LSU. Am I in the right place? Yep, Florida LSU. Looks to me like Florida is just a much more impressive team so far than LSU. That Florida has really seemingly played at a level, absent that clunker they threw at Kentucky, really almost at a Alabama-esque type level here, and LSU's been, relatively bad. So we're kind of thinking, and Florida generally plays pretty well at Baton Rouge. So we think they can, maybe make this one a relatively easy game and stick it to LSU. We'll see. I mean, this strikes me as the kind of game that, if LSU goes out and gets beat by 3 touchdowns, that Ed Orgeron's in trouble. You just got whooped by 3 touchdowns at home. That shouldn't happen to an LSU team, but they have not been impressive at all. So we'll see what happens. Well, we're going to take Florida. I'm going to roll the dice here. Cincinnati, my gut instinct tells me these guys are going to fall down at some point. And I played it last week that they would fall down against Temple, and it didn't happen. They just destroyed Temple. UCF hasn't been that good either. I mean, it's not been like a recent year UCF team. Now we're just kind of a average American team. And, you got to look at Cincinnati as, a top flight Big Ten type team. That's what they're playing like. Those are the scores that they're putting up. So I think we got to handicap it that way. What if, Penn State, what if Florida played South Florida or some, middle of the road American team? Well, they'd kill them. So 21 points here may not be enough. We're going to go ahead with Cincinnati. Pitt, Virginia Tech. I didn't like this game at all, but the model was pretty set on Pitt, and I thought Pitt is just going to do Pitt things here. That's Pitt. I mean, they'll looks fantastic, and then they'll lose to Western Michigan. That's the only loss they have all year, and they lost to Western Michigan. So this feels like I don't like this game, but the model loved it, so I threw it on there. We'll take Pitt. Central Michigan, Toledo. I think this was a game that's on there because Toledo got really run on hard last week. I think it was Northern Illinois that just ran like 60 runs against them. I exaggerate, but it was a lot. To just bam, 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 just hammered them. So we're kind of thinking they might just be a little tired. I like the coach at Central Michigan. So we're going to go ahead there. And we're getting points, aren't we? Yeah, we are. So we'll take a home dog there. We don't usually do that, but we will in this instance. We definitely like UAB. Love that coach. He's a good coach. The other guy, mid-season new guy, never liked that. That strikes me as dysfunctional, of chaos. We don't like that. We like order. We think order leads to wins as far as the game of football. So we'll take UAB. This could be the only chance all year Arizona has to win a game. The model likes this game. I like it a little less, but we're getting 6.5 points. Colorado stinks. It's going to be pretty good weather up there in Boulder, so we're not going to have to worry about that. We're going to go ahead there, take the points with Arizona. Miami. This one I didn't care for that much. I don't like that Miami coach, but the model loved it. 7.5. You're getting the hook. Oh boy. We'll take Miami there. I like this game. Hugh Freeze covers numbers. The guy at Liberty, he's one of those guys you want. He's one of those guys that lives on the shady side of whatever. He's been in all kind of trouble with his employers, the NCAA, and all this guy does is win, and win by a lot. He covers numbers. He's, Urban Meyer, college Urban or pro Urban hasn't done much of anything yet, but college Urban covers numbers. Well, Hugh Freeze covers numbers. So he's going up against a bad team. Liberty might easily dump 50 on these guys. I doubt Louisiana Monroe is going to score all that much. We'll go ahead there with Liberty. Colorado State seems to have a pretty good team this year. They went to Iowa and only lost by 10 points. That's not bad, that they can hang with a top 5 team like that. New Mexico's just generally pretty bad. So we're kind of thinking Colorado State's just going to sit on New Mexico there. UNLV, that's kind of a flyer there. The model likes this game for some reason, and I can't remember why. I think that's just kind of one of those where we think UNLV is sneakily getting better, and that nobody sees this sort of thing. Kind of like their head coach, and I like his resume. I think he's a guy that you can look at and say, all right, I trust this guy. I think he's going to put together a decent product on the field here for Saturday. So we're going to take out UNLV as a home dog. Okay, home stretch here. Definitely like North Carolina State. I think that's a good team, and we're only laying 3 points at Boston College. I do not like the Boston College quarterback. From games I've seen of that guy, he's just really not that good. And I think that North Carolina State is significantly better than Boston College. So we like that. Washington State generally plays pretty well at Pullman against Stanford. Stanford that seems to be like a bugaboo of theirs, of going up there to Pullman. They don't play well up there. Washington State getting 1.5 points. I think you're catching a little bit of value there in that Stanford is being viewed positively by the college foot. If I ask you a general college football fan, what do you know about Stanford? Well, they beat Oregon. Yeah, but they were incredibly lucky to beat Oregon. I think other than that, the team's relatively not that good. So I'm going to say Washington State sneaks one through there. The big night game here. Tennessee, Ole Miss. There'll be 100,000 people down there at Tennessee to see Lane Kiffin make his triumphant, or maybe not so triumphant, return to Knoxville. That'll be interesting. I'm going to see Tennessee. I just think they're going to do enough to control the lines of scrimmage, and maybe when you're gut tired in the fourth quarter there and it's 10:30 at night, that 100,000 people might just jack you up enough that you can get it done in the trenches in that fourth quarter. So we're going to take Tennessee there. UCLA, Washington. I don't know. This feels like two teams that are relatively even, but I think UCLA is putting together a little bit better season than Washington. UCLA is just getting better a little faster than Washington is. So we'll say UCLA there. And then late night, we're going to go ahead with Utah. I think that's one of those weather type games where it's going to get a little cold out there in Ogden. And Arizona State, they're two pretty evenly matched teams, and I'm going to play the weather edge there with Utah at night against Arizona State. Other big games I missed, I don't know. How do you Georgia? That's a ton of points, but man, I mean, they just seem to they've allowed 33 points all year. 33 points all year. I mean, they could very easily hold Kentucky to 7 and score 4 touchdowns themselves, and then that still wouldn't be enough. I guess they'd have to get a field goal too. So let's say 31-7 Georgia, and they would barely cover. The numbers are starting to get really big. I'm going to say this is a trap, this Georgia game. I don't have confidence to put it on my list, but it feels almost like a trick. In other words, the obvious play seems to be Kentucky with that huge number. What is it, 22? It's like, well, Kentucky, I mean, they're going to hold you down into the 20s, and if I'm getting 22 to start, I've got to win, right? That's where I'm thinking maybe it's a trick. It's a trap. Georgia's going to somehow cover anyway. So Alabama, Mississippi State, the model didn't like this game. I don't see how you do anything other than just play Alabama here. Coming off a loss? Oh, wow. I mean, now Saban knows, now it's on. I've got to win every game now to win my umpteenth national championship. So it's on. I got to win. I got to. And when the heat's on Nick Saban, generally he comes through. So I would expect him to cover this game. Purdue, Iowa, I'm going to say Iowa's going to start feeling some heat at the number 2 slot. They're getting to be Icarus. They're flying too close to the sun. And I think Purdue will keep this close. Same deal with the TCU, Oklahoma. They've been looking for a place to fall down all year long. Almost happened last week. They got lucky. I think TCU will play over their heads and on TV and keep that one close. So that's pretty much everything. I mean, God, I think we talked about damn near every college game there is this weekend. So like I said, I'm going to make a politics barn video here at some point shortly and see if I can't get myself kicked off of YouTube altogether. I guess that's the hard part. You don't know what the hell you said exactly that triggered them. So now what do I get triggered for in the future? But I don't know. I think this one was clean. I think, but we'll find out. I guess it'll be up for 3. You better view, when you get your little ding, on your phone, you better go to the video quick and look at it before it gets taken down. So make sure you get there fast. Hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you want. See how many subscribers I can pile up before I get canceled altogether. But good, thanks, great. Let's have a great college football weekend. All right, signing off.